Good morning, boys. So today is the very last video that we're gonna have on Oryx and Crake. We're gonna end off today because the last two chapters are really, really quick. So we're gonna start in chapter 14, and I'd like you to take notes. There will be important things that I say, and there will also be important things on the slide. So you're welcome to pause as you see fit. So starting with chapter 14, chapter 14 is called, let me just check. Chapter 14 is called Idle. Okay, so in chapter 14, basically, Snowman is able to gather some resources and some food from the dome, and he is able to make it back to the Crakers like he promised. Okay, but then he gets there and he hears them saying something that sounds like Amen. And this is where this thing comes in that I said a couple of videos before, that Snowman sounds like no man, but it also sounds like Amen. He hears, when he goes to check on the Crakers to check if they're okay, he hears them chanting something and it sounds like Amen. And then he gets there and they're actually chanting his name, and they've made this idol of him, and it seems like they're sort of praying for him, praying for his safe return, maybe praying for his safety, maybe. And this is where we hear, the other possible meaning of Crake's name, the fact that it sounds like Amen. So here we actually see this innate thing in the Crakers that desires a higher power, that desires somebody to worship and someone to adore and someone to look up to, which is not Crake's design. But I also think ever since I found out that actually the Crakers were made from human embryos, it makes complete sense that they would have human flaws in inverted commas, and they would have a bit of humanity in them. So it kind of makes sense to me. It's not that unheard of now to think that they would have certain human traits, because they're not completely made from scratch. They are modified human beings. Okay. So we see in this chapter that not only are the Crakers artistic in a way, they can actually even make art as well. So they understand images and artistic representations, as it says there, but they're also capable of creating art. Okay, another thing that would have shocked and would have displeased Craig. And if we're thinking about the fact that he was able to get rid of people who weren't aligned to his vision, what would he have done with the Crakers if he stuck around long enough to see them being like this? He probably would have destroyed them and started from scratch. Just something to think about. So while Snowman is with the Crakers and checking on them, he actually also, this whole idols thing and them praying for Snowman just also re-emphasizes the care and the love that the Crakers have for Snowman. It shows that they were worried about him and they were really hoping that he would come back safely. So it re-emphasizes the care, the humanity, ironically, that the Crakers have for Snowman. And so while he's visiting with them and they obviously slaughter a fish for him, they tell him, the Crakers tell Snowman, that there were a bunch of humans that went by in the village. And one of the male Crakers says he smelt pheromones on one of the females and tried to start a mating ritual with her. And obviously they got freaked out and ran away. So obviously, in the entire novel, for most of the novel, Snowman was of the belief that he was the only one of his kind. And of course, when he heard the radio, that was the first indication of there being other humans out there. And then also remember, I think there were certain places in the novel where he thought he saw smoke. And so now this is kind of a confirmation that it probably was smoke, and it was man-made smoke, and it was actually people that are probably not so far away from him. So he's quite excited, but he's also a bit apprehensive about finding out that there are other humans out there. Okay. And for a moment, so Snowman decides, or he says to the Crakers that he's going to go looking for these humans the next day. And and Snowman doesn't know how he's going to explain to the Crakers that these humans could pose a threat. So you can also understand Snowman's mixed feelings. Like, are these humans going to be good people? That it's going to be good to be reunited with other human beings? Or are they going to be bad people? So now he's thinking that he might need to explain things like abuse, things like theft, things things like difficult concepts that the Crakers don't understand. And he doesn't know how he's going to explain what human beings are capable of. Okay. So, and I think also, again, emphasizing the care that he has for the Crakers, he doesn't know how he's going to protect them. And so the best thing that he can say is he says that Crake is watching over them, and then he says that Oryx loves them. I think also for me this was just reminiscent of the deep desire to know that even in an uncertain situation, there is a higher power that's watching over you. There is someone stronger and bigger that knows what's going on, you know. And for Christians, that's God. For Muslims, that's Allah. You know, for other religions, it's different people. For people who worship ancestors, it's your ancestors. We all want to believe that there is someone stronger and bigger out there that's going to protect us. And we can already see the capability or the desire in the Quakers to believe in something bigger. That's a human trait. There's a desire in them to believe in something bigger and stronger than them. And and Snowman obviously jumps on that and he assures them and he says, Crake is watching over you, which means that they're protected if he's watching over them. And Oryx loves them, so it means that this higher power cares about them, wants what's best for them, you see. Okay. So so as I said there in the notes, so Oryx here serves the same role that she served for Jimmy. So she's a nurturer. She's there to love them and to care for them in the same way that she loved, or Jimmy hoped that she loved and cared for him. Okay. So she is idolized by the Crakers and she's idolized by Jimmy. Like there's just no end to her perfection and her being idolized. Okay, so then we get to chapter 15 called Footprint. Okay. I didn't actually realize this, but it turns out that Snowman's wound on his foot didn't actually heal. So it seems like it's getting worse again. So remember back when we said that he was hoping that Crake's medicine would heal him. It turns out that maybe the medicine had expired and it doesn't really heal him at all. So his wound has actually gotten worse, and it seems like he will die. And so he starts hearing like female voices in his head. But I also think that, like I said there in brackets, like, is it his mother? Is it Oryx? Or is it like all of humanity? But it's also like when you're wounded and you're feeling vulnerable. I don't know about you guys, but even at my big age, when I feel sick, I want my mom. There's certain things when certain things go wrong, I want my mom because mothers, we often don't really want our dads in a situation like that because moms are the ones that are like, oh, it's okay. And they let you cry and they let you feel sorry for yourself and they baby you. And I think Snowman is sitting in that position where he just needs something, some way of being nurtured. And maybe that's why he hears a female voice in his head and not necessarily a Crake or his dad or something like that. Okay? And this female voice is urging him on and urging him to survive as he walks to try and find these humans. And in that moment, he sees the footprint. Just before we talk about that footprint, I think also this just shows the fact that his wounds have worsened. I don't know, it kind of, for me, it kind of depreciates Craig's power because even Snowman actually believed in Craig's power enough to travel all the way back to the dome to find his medicine, to apply it on himself and hope that he gets better. He depended on these products that corporate had created, and even that is now of no use now. Like nature's really just taking its course, and not even Craig can save him. And for me, this is like the first time that Craig is rendered powerless for me, like Craig and also corporate. But that's just my analysis, and it could be something useful to put in your essay on Wednesday. Okay. So in this moment, Snowman sees a footprint, and of course, this signals this is now a confirmation, confirmation, confirmation. If the smoke wasn't confirmation, if the voices over the radio wasn't confirmation, if the stories that the Crakers said were not a confirmation, this is now a real confirmation when he sees these footprints in the sand. It's kind of like a real confirmation and a stamp of approval that he is not alone. There are other humans out there. But you can see that Snowman is really, really apprehensive. Um, they represent hope because finally someone to talk to, someone to relate to, a sense of safety, like people that are exactly the same as him, people who are going to understand his context, no longer being lonely, all that stuff that we felt sorry for him for during the book is going to be satisfied in meeting these people on the one hand, but on the other hand we don't know if they're going to be a threat. What if they're criminals that broke out of prison, or what if they're like just bad people? um so he doesn't know, and suddenly he's faced again with humanity and the dark side of humanity and how humanity can actually be bad. um yeah, so that's what he's sitting with in that moment as he's, following these footprints to find these humans. So for all time's sake, I just want to read just the last section of the novel. So page 432, and from the middle of the page where it says, "What next?" I'm just going to read that. It's like half the page. "What next? Advance with a strip of bedsheet tied to a stick, waving a white flag. I come in peace, but he doesn't have his bedsheet with him. Or I can show you much treasure. But no, he has nothing to trade with them, or they with them, with him. Nothing except themselves. They could listen to him, they could hear his tale, he could hear theirs. They at least would understand something of what he's been through. Or get the hell off my turf before I blow you off, as in some old style Western film. Hands up, back away, leave that spray gun. That wouldn't be the end of it though. There are three of them and only one of him. They'd do what he'd do in their place. They'd go away, but they'd lurk, they'd spy, they'd sneak up on him in the dark, conk him on the head with a rock. He'd never know when they might come. He could finish it now, before they see him, while he still has the strength, while he can still stand up. His foot's like a shoe full of liquid fire. But when they haven't done anything bad, not Oh, but they haven't done anything bad, not to him. Should he kill them in cold blood? Is he able to? If he starts killing them and then stops, one of them will kill him first, naturally. What do you want me to do? He whispers to the empty air. It's hard to know. Oh, Jimmy, you were so funny. Don't let me down. From habit, he lifts his watch. It shows him its blank face. 0 hour. Snowman thinks. Time to go. So that's how this is how the novel ends, guys. This is how the novel ends. Lots of uncertainty. He doesn't know what to do. He's torn between killing these other human beings or just joining them and sitting and sharing that sense of like camaraderie. But he doesn't know what to expect. So the ending is very ambiguous. So it's not clear what is going to happen next. His foot is on fire. We don't know if he's going to die. We don't know if these people actually have medicine for him. We don't know what's going to happen next. Um, and his words, just in the ending, they could mean that it's time to go, in terms of go to these people, to meet these people, or to leave them entirely. So, and it's quite an interesting question. Like, what do you think Snowman would do? Judging from the type of person that he is and how he has behaved in the past when it came to taking action, what do you think that he will end up doing here? Um, so the whole point of this ending is to serve as a cliffhanger. Like I said, this is the first novel of a trilogy, so there is a second one that is out, and the story sort of continues. So the whole point of ending it like this is so that it can be a cliffhanger, but it also just shows his indecision. It shows his uncertainty. It shows the fact that he doesn't know what to do, but also it's just typical Jimmy. Jimmy never knows what to do, and Jimmy never actually does anything. So I can't help but think that he would probably not approach them. He would just go back to his Crakers. Even though the Crakers tried to purr over his foot and it didn't really help because, he's not of the same genetic design as them. Yeah, like it's just really, really difficult to say. Okay, so that is the long and short of the novel. We are done. So we'll just meet, have a Google Meet at the end of this video, and we'll just talk, share some thoughts and share what you guys think of the character, what you think of the ending, etc., etc. Okay, have a good day, boys.